Hi guys, welcome to the class. And so again, let's see what are the pointers I have discussed and what we're going to discuss today. So before going ahead, if you haven't subscribed my channel, Python Guru, so kindly subscribe that. If you have any questions or doubt, you can just put in the comment section so I can, answer them out. And still, if you don't, uh, you know, uh, if you have any specific questions which you want me to discuss, that even you can drop me an email. So uh, let's start. So we have discussed the numbers, variable assignment. Just a quick recap on what we have discussed: variable assignment, strings, the printing, string manipulation, indexing, collection of items, print, list, different types of listing, list manipulation, modifying the list, append, addition, all those things, like based on the indexing, how do we address each element in the listing, and dictionary, key value pair concept, hash table. If you do not know, no problem. And as I say, a nested listing, a nested dictionary concept, boolean and tuples, collection of unique elements, comparison operators, and logical operators. And what are the situations where we can use these all these functions. And now the conditional statements, and after conditional statements we do have loops. So different types of loops I think we haven't discussed, right? uh, I think we have discussed the loop. Hold on for a sec. Hold on for a sec. Let me see if we have discussed the loop. Hi everyone, this is Mahendra. Satisfied. So here, I value we have defined 1 and I. So here we are. So we have discussed the loop as well yesterday. I mean, in my previous session. So let's go through what we gonna discuss. Loop. In the loop also we have discussed for loop, and how do you address, or how do you modify the element, more while loop. And once you have the list, then how do you address each element in the list via loop. And range. In range, how do you define the element, how the range get printed. Comprehensive listing. Of comprehensive listing, and this is with some interval, or if you have to populate the list from the list which is given with some specific format or logics, that's just extended format of listing. So you would be having, we will discuss more on in upcoming session, but this is just a heads up, in and out of the listing, but in the same way, how do you align with the real time scenarios. So that concept will be coming once you go on some certain project and you get some use case, and then you would be having the better understanding, right? But on ground basis, you can say, this is how the list comprehensive listing concept works in this way. Like if you have to append the list, or if you have to populate the list from the list which is already there with certain logics, that is how that comprehensive listing works, right? So that this is what we have discussed yesterday. So I think we have discussed. Now today we're gonna discuss the functions. This is one of the most important concept, and across, I think you must be having the background about the functions. So let me go through an example. If I have to add, if I have two variable, just an example, okay? If I have a equal to 1, b equal to 2, and if I have to add c equal to a plus b, 2, 3. I mean, so, right? C equal to A plus B. Then, and if I have to change the value, this is just a static assignment. If I have to change the value, A plus B plus C, A plus B plus C, and if I have to change the value, this is just a static value. If I have to change the value, then every time I need to change the value here, right? And if I have to, again, if I have to add these numbers, A, B, C, for example, if you have 3 variables, then A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. And again, if I have to change the number 4, then 5, then 6, if I have to again, in such cases, every time I need to, change the number and, need to write the formula, right? So in a static assignment, how your program works, like every time you have to, if you want to, in static assignment, every time if you have to change the value, then every time every time you have to go and you have to change the value in the static assignment. So every time, so function is just a kind of, like, suppose if you have written, so why do we use function basically? So that is what the objective here is. Once the objective here is to create the functions, like it avoids the additional coding, I can say, in cut and short, or to avoid the number of steps or number of repetitive steps which need to be called out across programs multiple times. That redundancy of the code can be removed via functions. That's very precisely, if I can say. So define. So how do we define the function? For example, I have defined the function. This is just a keyword. My function is user defined name. Anything you can give here. Here we have 3 variable A, B, and C, meaning 3 variables, meaning 3 value can be placed here, right? So print inside function equal to A plus B plus C, and return will be A minus B minus C. So this is just a function which has been created here, and this is the function. So every time when we call the function, we just simply pass these values A, B, and C, right? We simply pass this value, and once we pass this value, so the statement which has been called out inside this function, that will be executed, right? So here we have three values, so 65, 15, 10, and whenever we define the function, then we have to return certain value, right? So we have defined the function, and after that, what value the function is gonna return, that also one of the key aspect of the function. So if I have the function name is my function. So if I have to call this function, how we're gonna do? So we have defined one variable that is called k, and we have called out, and we called the function which has been defined, my function, defined 3 values statically, 65, 15, 10, and we are printing k. So what may be the answer of that? The answer is already printed here, meaning, say, so how your code will work. We are calling the function k equal to, so the statement which is written inside this function is inside function equal to A plus B plus C. So we have passed 3 parameters, we have passed 3 values in the function. So each value gets sum up, and it will give the answer inside function equal to 90. Now, what the values function is going to return? So it will k, what will the k value? It will return print k, A minus B minus C. A minus B minus C means we have 65 minus 15 minus 10. That is how your function returns the value. And first it has executed the statements which has been written inside your function, and after the values, the value which has to be written, that also get calculated and returned in the output. So 40 is the one which is been written, and 90 which is as per the statement next to the function, right? So that is how your function works. Well, let's take another example. If we have function, outside function equal to my function. So this is the statement, my function, and we are passing out three values, right? So I mean, yeah, three values. So all these three values will get added into ABC. So what will be the answer? The output inside function equal to the sum of this, and the return value would be 50 minus 20 minus 10. 50 minus 20, that is 30, and 30 minus 10, that is 20, right? So that is how your function works. So let's go for another example. It will be slightly complicated down the line, but so no, don't worry. As soon as you uh, write, you start writing these functions, you will be feeling, you will get comfortable for writing these functions, right? But these functions are highly important while you write the code to avoid the redundancy, and and for best practices we use the functions as well, right? So here in define my function, we have uh, for a and b we have defined the parameter, but for one we statically assigned a equal to 90, b equal to 20, but for c we haven't defined any value. We have tried printing that. So then in that case, how will it work? Inside function equal to a plus b plus c, right? So so what is the answer here? I mean, when the function is being called out, my function, and we are passing only one value, equal to my function equal to, but here as per the function it is asking for three values, right? So if we try uh, my function, if we call, then it will be taking these values by default. For a and b it will be taking uh, these values, and for c it will be taking these, I mean for c it has taken this value, so it will just add these values including the third value. Automatically it will be considering for third variable, that is c. So the c value would be 10, a value would be 90, and the b value would be 20. So altogether it is going to sum up and would print 120, right? So in the return, in the same way, a minus b minus c, so a value would be 90 minus 20 minus 10. So that is how in the same pattern it is going to work. Is there any doubt? Like, so that this is how in a multiple ways you can either you uh, directly pass the value, don't define, and instead of using variable you can directly pass on the variable, pass on the value, or without static assignment. And other than that, if you use idly, using variable is the best, because every time you can change the number, whatever number you want. So using variable is always preferable, rather you is uh, coding the value statically, right? So after that you have equal to 90, b equal to 10, and this is another way. Like, you have defined these values, and key my function, here we have defined 10, 10, 30. So once we try executing that, a plus b plus c, meaning it will, with these values, the values which is given in the function statically, I mean the entire values will get replaced by the function. While calling the function, the value which we have defined, those values will be called out, and it will sum up. And the function, I mean the statement which is just written next to the function, that will be, I mean the inside function, that will be executed. So it is inside function a plus b plus c. So a plus b plus c, in the sense like it is going to print 50, right? So again it has to return certain values. So how it's going to return 10 minus 10, and then it will be minus 30, right? 10 minus 10, 0, and then minus 30. So that this will be the return value. Got it, right? So still, if you have, you have any doubts regarding any of the function or any of the topic what we have discussed, you can just put down your questions in the comment section, and I will be happy to answer that. And still, if you have, still if you are doubt doesn't get clear, then we can connect as well. It's not like that, like, we can just, uh, it's not like that. It's just I will be giving the answer. I will be replying in your in the comment section. Other than that, if still you found any issue, like, so where you want to discuss with me, you can just drop an email to my email, to my mailbox, so I can, better reply on that, and even we can connect if needed, right? So this is another type of function. Param1 equal to by default, and the return is param1. So this is the function. So my function is, we are calling the function and new value which is been defined here, new param. So while we try executing this function, this value would be printed, because the value, just take a note, while calling out the function, the value which has been defined, that replace the value which has already been defined at the time of defining the function. So make sure if the values are not given at the time of calling the function, then it will be taking the values while the function was defined as default value. Okay, so make sure, how do you want to code, that is all up to you, but just make sure, like, if while calling the function, whatever value you want to define it, that will replace the default values while defining the function, right? So again, this is a function, my function param2 equal to new param. Param2, where is the param2 variable? Nowhere this param2 variable defined, right? So if the param2 variable equal to, it won't return any value, it will throw an error, right? Because param equal to new param. Param1 was there and it was returning param1. That's a function while we were defining. But here we are calling my function, and in my function we have to use the same variable. If you do not use the same variable, you must use the variable which has been defined at the time of function. But the value can be changed, but the name of the function and the variable name, that cannot be changed while calling out the function. So just have a thought, like, just simply calling out the function will not work out, and the value what you defined at the time of calling the function and the value which has been defined at that time of defining the function, if you want to keep the same value, or if you want to add, if you want to change the value, that you can, add at the time of calling out the function. So that's all up to you, right? So this is how your functions works. So this is all, just, you can just, if needed, I will be giving you such kind of, some files and all that I will be giving. Even you can just, you can just download Anaconda in your system, and you can start practicing like this, like, the way I have been explaining. In the same way, you can get it download and, start performing such exercises, like, whatever I have detailed, the conditional statements, the loop, while loop, and listing and dictionary, all those things you can practice at your own. So that is how you would get the confidence, you would be having the better understanding. That the most important topic was the list, because list is the most uh, common concept in Python, and that is being used in most of the use cases, and that's very common usable, we can say, component, or we can say feature of Python. So you just, as soon as more you practice, the more confidence you will be getting. So just make sure you practice all this, so you would be having, and these functions and all that, this is common across, right? So not much difference, and you can write as lengthy as the way you want. Whatever numbers, generic statements, whatever the number of steps or conditional statements across, what you think, like, this is the piece of code can be used across your program multiple times. So then you can write the function in, rather, writing the same code again and again. So you can just directly call out the function and it will perform the same activity, the number of times you want, and your entire code, not even just by calling out the name of the function, will work out, and you don't need to write entire code all the time, right? So just take a note. So this, you just practice, and hope you like my video. And if you liked it, kindly subscribe my channel, like my video, and if you have any comments or questions, kindly put down in my comment section, so I would be happy to answer that. Thank you. And let's see in next video, and we'll discuss the lambda expression, the important feature, and the modern techniques in Python. So we'll just discuss in our in my next class. Till then, thank you very much.